What's up, guys? So I'm starting a new project here. It's basically I'm trying to design or borrow RGB amp designs from around the internet, uh, from different sources. This is the RGB amp, and this is the audio amp, and some other parts that I've seen here and there. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to take these and put them into a let me see if I can get it out. Yeah, into this little board here, uh, which is of a very limited and specific size, uh, with these two holes, designed to fit into a enclosure that I've found after searching around for a long time, which I think would fit more or less in the back of a PC Engine core graphics, or any of the original PC Engine models, really. And, uh, and and you would this would go into the expansion port, and here you would have some wires going directly to a some sort of a cable. For in my case, it would be a SCART cable, and so this would be a very nice, neat, aesthetically pleasing, because I don't know, I care about shit like that, especially when it comes to the PC Engine. Uh, uh, Kind of a amp cable thing for the PC Engine, mainly because I mean I just want to try my hand out at like designing PCBs and stuff like this. So this is a learning experience. I never tried this before, uh, and also because well, the PC Engine, it's kind of weird. Let me see. PC Engine. Oh no, that's not what we want. PC Engine. No, there we go. So if we look at the, like for example, this classic unit here, the problem for me with the PC Engine design is, this is a beautiful, not this version specifically, this is really yellowed. A lot of the white ones are, for some reason, they're not very well kept compared to the core graphics ones. I don't know what's up with that. Actually, I don't have a white. I've been meaning to get one for the longest time, but now they're kind of like super expensive. But that's another matter. Anywho, the problem with this model is that it is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful consoles ever made, but it does have a major flaw in that the video comes out of this side and the power goes into this side, which I think is just not very practical, and it's very ugly. So if I make the cable that just comes out of here, then at least all you have is the power going on sideways. And if you're so inclined, I've been thinking about this. I mean, it's certainly possible to do, to incorporate the power also into whatever connector you're using to get this out. Then you would have everything just going in from the behind, and I don't think I'll be doing that, because then I would have to put some sort of a power circuit there as well, and it would have to be an on-off button. It's a bigger project. For the RGB out, back here would be fine. Now there are already solutions that can do this. The problem with those are that I just find most of them to be, or at least all of them, to be very ugly and too bulky. So really the purpose of this is to just have a much more elegant, small, self-contained units. So yeah, I've been designing this for a while, and I'm just about ready to send this out to manufacturing and order the parts, and I'll take it from there. Okay, guys, so I got the parts in, and the board, and I have my little soldering station here to solder on the the components. Now, I don't know if you can see the size differences here, but actually, I think I went a little bit overboard with like choosing the smallest kind of components. I chose, I have it here printed on the back, which size I have. So the 0402 SMD size, it's too small. If I were to like redesign this thing, I would go with 0603 for all of the 0402s. And in addition to that, I think it would behoove me well to like move this part here, the connector part, more forward, because I've noticed that when you actually place this inside the enclosure, the amount that it sticks out is kind of like not enough so that the connector can actually go all the way in because of these like protrusions here. Now of course I could just cut those off, or maybe that's not even a problem. Maybe they do actually stick out enough to make a contact, but these are like small little improvements one could do if I were so inclined. And here is the SCART cable that I'm going to be using. It's a very high quality cable. It's totally overkill. Yeah, but what are you gonna do? I actually have an extra output port here that I had used in a much older revision of this, just an experimental one I did years ago. Let me see if I can find the what that is, because it's kind of a, look at this. This is what I made just from components that I had at hand. It used a very old THS amp, like these just the oldest design of RGB amp you could get a hold of, and I of course used like regular old electrolytic capacitors, the big ones. And yeah, it took some doing to like actually get all of this fit on the board so that you could fit in here with this thing. And of course I had like drowned it in like super glue, which, you know, don't use super glue. It's terrible. So what I did, I managed to salvage this. I also had to like cut some of these pins short because this thing could not fit properly into the enclosure due to the smaller tolerances or whatever you have working with a breadboard compared to like an actual PCB that you design yourself. Anyway, so I managed to borrow some pins from the middle part to fix the because these ones in the middle, they are not actually used. We only need RGB, the SIG 5 volts, and like left and right audio. That's what we need. The rest of the pins don't really matter. They're just there, I guess, for structural support if you want to. I'm not sure if I'll ever like populate this. Might have been a mistake for me to like actually solder this in here. Because it's gonna make it much more difficult to actually like put down the components in the future if I were so inclined. But right now I'm just focused on this one. I only have enough parts to do to populate this, and hopefully I can manage to do it without actually losing any of these like ultra small components. I mean, look at this. Look at how small this is. You can't even properly focus on it. Like, look at like comparison compared to the yeah, I mean, and I've used so many of these. It's incredible. I mean, you can see all of the small ones on this are of that size. It will be a miracle if I can manage to get through
and solder all of these on by hand without making a mistake or losing any of these or anything going wrong. But fingers crossed, hopefully this will work, and yeah, we'll see how good this performs, and if there's any mistakes, I might have to do a future revision. I might have to do future revisions no matter what, like with the additional improvements that I just talked about, like changing. Unfortunately, it's a big pain in the ass to like change the size of the components. For some reason, the software that I'm using, it's kind of an online software tool. You can't just go in and pick an SMD and say, hey, I want this to be a bigger size. It's not that easy. You're just gonna have to like delete that and then put a new one in, and then make sure you know that that the same connections apply. So yeah, I'll do this and check back. So yeah, it's done. As you can see, this is what the final product looks like. Not that bad, you know. It could be more elegant, but I looked around a lot to find an enclosure that actually fits a connector like this. It's just, I mean, if it exists, I couldn't find it. And this connector is actually not built for this. That's why this doesn't fit in entirely. But it's good enough that it works. What can I say? And yeah, we have the SCART here. Now, there is an unfortunate thing about this, which I don't know if I can fix. This thing, even if I like leave the casing out and I've just fit the naked the connector in there, it's not getting a very good connection. So you know, if you push down on it a little bit, you kind of lose the picture, and like the audio starts buzzing and doing all sorts of weird stuff. I'm not sure if it's like maybe these, like, this is an angled connector, as you can see here. Maybe this is actually preventing it from going all the way in. There's also another possibility in that, like, when this goes in, there's a lot of room, like above, below, and to the sides, where this thing can like wiggle. And I've seen that people have made like a 3D printed kind of bracket that you put in here that narrows this down, preventing this from moving about. I think maybe it might just be a flaw inherent to this kind of connector, and I might need to yeah, find that 3D print file and get some place to print it for me. I think it's supposed to be just inserted in here. It would be nice if it could be made somehow a part of this, but you know, 3D printing things is kind of like, I don't know if I want to mess around with that, but that could be a possibility. I mean, this thing does have some mounting holes here, so if someone was so inclined, maybe they could make some sort of 3D printing sleeve that would go over here and like screw into these holes, and then this would become like a more, let's say, professional, elegant device. So far, I think this is okay. I don't know how keen I am to use it actually with my machine, since given that this actually does, it is a little bit flaky. But yeah, I tested this, and the image and the audio quality is just, yeah. So the circuit here that I built, I just drew it on this thing. It's not my design. I just took it from different sources, and I just, the audio amp and the video circuit. There's a couple of ones floating around on the web. I just selected the best ones after like researching it a little bit, and kind of like combined it into an enclosure that fits in here, you know. So yeah, It did take a lot of doing to like actually solder all of these small pads, all these small components. They were like insanely small, as I showed you. Uh, by some miracle, I managed to do it all without anything going wrong. And like when I actually tested this the first time, the wires on this thing were too short, so some of them snapped, and I wasn't getting any picture at all. So I had to take it all apart and fiddle around with it a little bit, lengthened the wires, and then connected it a second time. At that point, I actually got a picture, but the green was missing, so everything was purple. And so I just looked around and I found, I think it was this one, C2. That kind of looked a little bit. I mean, even when I look at it through a magnifying glass, I couldn't quite see whether or not there was a problem with the connection or not. But I just like gave it a tap with my soldering iron, and yeah, that fixed it. So apparently there was some sort of a micro short there. It's very hard to actually like solder these on but hand and actually do a proper job of it. And I'm not sure if I'm gonna do it again for this. I mean, what are the chances of of something not going wrong? But it would be nice to have two of these, because this one is wired as SCART, and I do use SCART. Like my TV over there is a SCART machine, but I also have my my setup over there, which is JP21, which is the Japanese pinout of this connector, completely unrelated. So it would be nice for me to have a JP21 version of this as well. I'm not gonna use a overkill, super high quality SCART cable like this for that. I have plenty of like, you know, higher than like garbage tier eBay made in China crap, but not like super high end stuff like this. It's gonna be fine, and I think I'm gonna make sure it's a little bit shorter, because this cable is really heavy, and that's probably not good because it puts a lot of weight on this connector. So that's probably going to, yeah, I have to figure something out. If I do, I'll let you know. Until then, yeah, I'll give a short demonstration of this being actually played and what it looks like. Not that you can really judge it from a camera. I don't really have the setup to actually record this properly. But, you know, trust me, it looks great. PC Engine is my favorite system, and I'm kind of like, I want this to be the best it can be. And I think this is. While I was in there, I actually like, I replaced there are these capacitors, bypass capacitors you're supposed to change in order to reduce noise. And I replaced them all with like a higher recommended value. Maybe it's this circuit, maybe it's that, maybe it's a combination of those two, but I think my PC Engine has never looked better or sounded better than now. Wah, wah, wah. No picture. And, you know, the slightest tap here results in excessive noise, probably due to the ground being broken. Yeah, and I'm pretty sure what the problem is. The problem is this little lip here protruding. Yeah, that thing is preventing the connector to go all the way in, and unfortunately that little flaw makes this completely useless. Oh well, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I could just cut it off it will make for an uglier connector. But you know, maybe my idea with the 3D printed thing could be a solution to that. Who knows? I don't know if I'm gonna waste that much more time on this. I mean, I don't really have any use for this, to be honest, because I do have a I do actually have a PC Engine Duo, which I very recently did a complete recap job on. Previously, I had recapped this because these you have to do it with the PC Engine Duo, this model, the black one. You have to replace the capacitors. They will leak 100%. The surface mounts as well as the ones here, and mine had, but I replaced those years ago. Unfortunately, I replaced them with like really cheap, shitty Chinese bought ones that I just had, because I was thinking of selling this and I wasn't going to spend like a fortune on like high quality capacitors, which I usually do, which is, it's overkill really. I just do it because, well, I love the PC Engine. I love my systems and I want to do the best for them. But you know, probably the capacitors on this thing cost about as much as the system. Well, not anymore because the system has gone up in price a lot. Anywho, so I replaced them. Unfortunately, I had used some, oh, so stupid. I used hot glue because some of them, some of the pads were worse for wear, and I was using like radial on SMDs just to have them like stay in place. I put a dab of hot glue some places. That shit is impossible to get off, and like in the process of getting them off, some of the pads were lifted. I tried to repair them as much as it was within my ability. Unfortunately, when I hooked this back up, this was working before I recapped it. I'm getting no picture or sound or anything out of it, so I don't know what's going on. Yeah, also I also have an RGB amp. This is the best one on the market for this model. But I mean, the problem with this is it doesn't have an expansion port, so I can't build. You have to actually you have to find a solution that works with this, and there are some cables with an RGB amp built in. I had one of those, but those are like not very good. They're not up to spec. So I opted to buy this, and I don't know what's wrong. There could be a number of things, but as soon as I figure it out, I mean, I have this system, and this will probably be my main unit because it plays CDs as well as HU cards. And so I don't really need the other one. It's just, I thought it was a neat project to, yeah. As you can see, I used like tantalum and polymer caps for SMDs. Much better like replacement. These are much better spec'd and can last a lot longer than like SMDs, and also they're easier to put on for the most part, as long as the pads are okay. And these are like polymer caps, so I don't have any electrolytic capacitors in this thing at all. It's all, except for this one, but this is like the I think this is for some sort of a battery backup or something. Most people don't even exchange this, but I chose to do. I don't think that cap is known to leak. Anywho, I gotta figure out what the hell is wrong with this. Probably maybe one of those lifted pads I have not repaired it properly, or maybe there's a loose connection in one of these, or maybe I soldered, because these are polarized actually, the yellow ones. Maybe I soldered one of those backwards. Maybe there's a loose connection. I did a poor soldering job, and yeah, I actually had to like pull this one out and move it back, because otherwise this was hitting like the top part of, no, here, and the door eject mechanism was not working properly. That caused me a lot of headache. we'll see. Hopefully I can get this up and running. This is my baby. Yeah, that's it for this video. See you in the future, guys.